Hello and welcome to the first Ordo Imperialis how-to guide. This is the quickest setup so you can record full 1080p 60 frame per second video quality for YouTube. 1080p at 60 FPS being the new standard for YouTube videos. Now you are going to need a few things. You're going to need DxTory, Handbrake, the Matrox video codec and the Lagareth lossless codec, because I am going to cover 720p as well. Now if you don't have DxTory, you can easily get it from this site, excode.com DxTory. Now it's not free, it costs 3,800 yen, which is about $30, but trust me, when it comes to game capture, it will be the best $30 you have ever spent. I did this and I got it being very skeptical, and it's a purchase I have never regretted. Simply go to the site and go to buy, and there it is, 3,800 yen, and you can pay with most major credit cards as well as PayPal. Upon getting the program, just download and install, and we'll go over that shortly. Next, you will need Handbrake, which is an open source video transcoder. This is to reduce the file size afterwards, because when recording in 60 FPS at 1080p, even a 15-minute video can be something like 40 gig in size, because it's just packed with information. Something that's going to help with that is this. The next thing you're going to need, if you are wanting to record in 1080p at 60 FPS, is the Matrox video codec, which can be got from here. Now you want version 2, I know I'm showing version 1 here, however I will put the version 2 download there. However, even with version 1, you still get the MPEG-2 iframe in SD and HD resolutions with or without alpha, and that's what you need, because that is the codec we're going to be recording with. Now, there is another codec out there called the Lagareth lossless video codec, and that in itself is pretty good. However, I wouldn't use this for 1080p. I've used it for a while and I've done a lot of experimenting with it, and I find it works best if you're doing 720 at either 30 or 60 frames per second. So if that's what you're going to be limited to, I highly suggest the Lagareth lossless codec. But download anyway, because then that way you can try both for 1080p. So, once you have downloaded DxTory, Handbrake, the Matrox video codec and the Lagareth lossless codec, installed them all and restarted your computer at least once, so you can come back to this video after you've done that, and assuming you've just done that, welcome back. So what we're going to do is we are going to start up DxTory, and we're going to go through some of the settings. Start DxTory, it does require admin privileges, and this is what you'll get. Now, first of all, we don't need to worry about anything in here. This is when we get to the streaming video and how to set up regular and also multi-platform versions of OBS. The main things you need to worry about are what's here. This is the overlay. Now, this will appear over the top of any of the games you play and will show you your current frame rate. And upon recording, it will turn a separate color. Mine's just at the standard yellow, so that way I know, and it will show you frames per second and what it's actually recording at. So for instance, if you're playing a game at 120 FPS but you're only recording in 60, it will show 120 by 60, because the game is at 120 FPS but you're recording at 60. Simple. Okay, so the main important thing to set up is this folder. Now this is where you're going to be saving your video outputs. Now, I will say this, and I cannot stress this enough. You need to have a disk write speed of over 100 megabytes to be able to record 1080p 60 FPS footage reliably. It can be done on speeds of 80 to 100 megabytes, but over 100 is best. So what you're going to do, you're going to right click and you're going to add a folder, and you're going to add that folder somewhere. Now, if you don't have an SSD, you might not hit the right speed. However, if you have an SSD, you should be good. Once you've set your folder, mine is on a separate partition on my solid state drive, you're going to click this little benchmark button, leave the settings itself, and you're going to hit run. You're just going to wait, just let it run all the way as it's sticking reliably around 115, 116. It comes out at 113. I'm going to stick with my previous test because I'm recording at the moment, so it's a bit slower. I'm going to hit cancel. Mine comes out 120 megabytes, and that's what you want. For 720p, anything 60 and above, if you do not get at least 60 on any speed test, I'm afraid to say this probably isn't for you, and you may have to find another method. And it may be a method I cover later on. But assuming you have something 60 and above, you can do 720. And if you have at the very least 90 and above, you should be able to do 1080p. Next thing we're going to do is set up our recording hotkey. I've set mine to the num sub button. It's a button that's I find mostly used in games and it's easily accessible. We're not going to worry about push to talk. We're not going to worry about screenshots or anything like that. Now, assuming you have installed your Matrox video codec or your Labyrinth lossless codec, what next thing we're going to do is going to go into the capture settings. This is where most of our setup is going to be. What you want to do, you want to click down here on codec, and assuming you want to record in 1080, you're going to use the Matrox MPEG-2 iframe HD. You're just going to click that, and then you're going to click the configuration box just here to open this window. And these are the settings you want to use. I'll just leave those there for you. You want it on Matrix Custom, Alternate, about 250 megabytes or as close as you can to it. 8-bit, forced frame rate, and your frame rate will be 60 FPS. And you can hit OK. Now, if you're recording 720, what you want to do, you want to hit the Labyrinth lossless codec. Hit this, and assuming you have a decent CPU, you want to use multi-threading in mode YUY2 and OK, and that's that setup. But I'm going to stick with the Matrox MPEG-2 iframe HD for this one. Next thing you want to do is set up your audio. Now, if you are planning to talk over your videos, you want to just hit input 1 and you want to select your default microphone. Mine is the Turtle Beach PX11 Chat. Then you want to add your second one, and this is going to be what your game audio recording will come through. Now, I have a program called Voice Meter set up along with a VB audio cable input, which is something I'm going to go into for another video when it comes to advanced videos using things like Sony Vegas Pro and wanting to separate tracks and things like that. So we'll come back to that later. You can pretty much just use your standard voice device, which will probably be speakers, which will be like a Realtek high definition audio or a stereo mixer. And that's that. Now, if you need to add more recording devices, you just simply hit the add audio stream. You can have up to 8. I have 3 because, again, I use VB audio virtual cable and I also use Voice Meter. Again, something will go on later on. This you don't need to worry about. Not even going to touch screenshots. I don't take screenshots with this. Another important thing is the advanced tab. Now, if you have a pretty decent CPU, I happen to be running an i7 overclock for 4 gig, so I've got 8 processing threads. Come down to processing threads and use 8. Best thing to do is see what the make of your CPU is, put it into Google, and something like, say, Intel i5, how many processing threads. It'll tell you how you've got 4, 6, 8, and then you just choose that particular one here. I've got 8, so I use 8. Even though I don't have this checked on, I still set that to 60. That is the Xtory setup. That's it. That's simple. So what happens next? Well, next you go into a game. So I'm just going to start up any old game here. Angry Birds will do. Okay, it's not wanting to pop up. Now, there is one thing I actually forgot to tell you before we actually go on with the recording. That is, when you open DxStory, make sure here under the Movie tab, you actually have File Output selected and along with AVI format. Now, this is going to transcode into a video file that isn't going to be able to be opened by most programs. So it requires transcoding into something else. And this is something I'm going to cover in another video. So for now, all you need to do, you just need to minimize and go into your game. Okay, and so once you've recorded your video footage, you'll have it in your desired save location. Now, I've just recorded some footage from Rainbow Six Siege, and here it is. Now, this video is about 1 minute and 35 seconds long, but as you can see, the file size is huge. Reason for this is again because you're recording at 1080p 60 fps. Now, you can watch back, however, chances are you're probably not going to see anything or hear anything, because the way the codec works, it transcodes into a very specific video format that's meant for editing software, not simple playback. Now, you might find something that can actually play it back, be it whatever you might find. There you go. There it is. And that's playing it through Windows Media Player. And as you can see, it's full HP. This is 60 FPS, and the video quality is absolutely fantastic. See? So there we go. So that's the actual video itself. But the question is, well, what do you do with it now? Well, now you can take it into your preferred video recorder, or sorry, video editing software, futz around with it, add your intro, add music, add or remove your voiceover, your choice. But you want to reduce the file size for upload, because to upload this, when it's only a 1 minute 35 second video, when it's 2.84 gig, would be insane. So what's the situation? What's the solution rather? Well, you downloaded Handbrake, and we're going to go through that now. So this is Handbrake. Now, it's extremely simple to use. You're just going to hit source, and you're just going to choose a file. You're just going to go to your desktop, and you're going to wherever you saved your recorded footage, and you're going to open that up. It'll scan it. It'll show you the time, how many angles, chapters. These you do not need to worry about. Video H.264, you want to keep it as that. Frame rate, same sort as the video. You want quality. Warning, RF0 is lossless. This is all perfectly fine. Main thing you need to do is set your outputs. We're going to go back to the desktop, and we're going to call this Rainbow Six Test. Simply done, and then you hit start. And while this renders, I'm going to pause the video. Okay, and here we go. It's now finished. So if we look at the original, this is 2.84 gig, and that's my phone going nuts. And if we look at this one, 229 megabytes. Now the question is, has it lost any of the detail? Well, let's have a look. No, it has not. It's lost none of the detail whatsoever. Although it may have lost a little bit of detail, but it's still pretty good. The question is, how is it going to look on YouTube? Well, let's upload and find out. And so here we are on YouTube. The video took about 5 minutes to upload, and as you can see, it's in HD 1080p at 60 FPS. Just hit play. Now, if the video seems a bit jumpy, in fact, actually, on the previews that you saw of the recorded footage, it seemed to jump and stutter and jam. That's only because of the screen recording software I'm using right now to record my desktop. It's not the actual result of the video itself. Yours won't stagger. But yeah, as you can see, it's 1080p, 60 FPS. It's nice and smooth, and it's YouTube standard. There really is just no excuse for uploading massive videos that are only a few minutes long at gigs of information when you can do the same thing and see very little hit to quality. So there you go. As you can see, that's some Rainbow Six footage and how to easily record a 1080p 60 FPS video for YouTube. In the next video, I'll show you some more advanced stuff using programs such as VB audio input cable, voice meter, using DX Story with OBS multi-platform and OBS regular, and also Sony Vegas to help you improve your video quality. And until then, I've been Esfa. I hope you found this useful, and I hope it gets you started on creating YouTube content. Once you do, please send me the links. I would love to see it, and if you have any questions, need any advice, please feel free to click on my name on the left side of this post and send me a private message, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. But for now, I'm Esva for this Ordo Imperialis tutorial on 1080p and 720p 60 FPS videos for YouTube. But bye for now.